Don.
Do you want me to look at?
To me. Don, how hard is to combine religious with business?
It's very difficult at the beginning, right?
Yes.
Because you're making decisions, once you've combined them, you're making decisions that sometimes not be the most logical business sense, but they make the most logical Torah sense. And at times, and many people unfortunately, make this mistake, they put the business decision in front of the Torah decision, and that never works out over the long term. So for us, as time's gone on, we realize that every time we compromise, we lose. Every time we do what we know is right, that Hashem wants, it always works out okay.
Tell me something. There is a story about, I think, something with your father about it, or something that happened that has to be with that.
Yeah. There was a lawsuit going on for one of our projects at some point, and the court case was going through the week. It went longer than expected, and it was on Friday afternoon, and my dad had to be in court. And he was actually one of the people that the judge was speaking to, and my dad looked at his watch and says, "Your Honor, I'm sorry, I have to tell you, it's coming to Shabbat, I have to leave in an hour." And the judge says, "We're not going to be done in an hour." My dad says, "Your Honor, I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk back, but it's Shabbat, I'm not staying, I have to go." And the judge says, "If you leave, I'm going to hold you in contempt of court, and I'll rule in the other party's favor." And my dad said, "You can do whatever it is you want to do, but I'm leaving, I'm not breaking Shabbat for anything. Not for you, not for money." And my father got up and he left. And we lost.
All right.
But 3 years after losing that court battle, we realized it was the biggest blessing in the entire world, because certain things happened with that project that, Baruch Hashem, we didn't have it any longer, and that we didn't have to deal with it.
When you're doing business, you have to make the decisions. How do you do them? Because you combine, like we were talking, with the religious and that. How do you do that? You ask to a rabbi, you took it, you say by Torah.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yes.
Many things that we decide, it's a big family, so we try and do make decisions internally. Sometimes the decisions get much more difficult and beyond the capacity and capability of our own group, because it enters into a territory of deep halachic ramifications.
Right.
And so then we have a number of rebbeim that we go to, and we ask the question. And if we ask the question, if the rabbi says yes, we do. If the rabbi says no, we don't. We actually have a rabbi on a full-time basis who oversees everything at American Dream to make sure that everything we're doing follows within the confines of halacha. And we don't wait for people to come to us. We proactively go out to make sure that, wait a second, is there a mistake here? Am I doing something wrong here? It's not that, let's just brush it aside and hopefully nobody will notice. We're very proactive to make sure that we do the right thing.
But when you're talking about Judaism and halakha and decisions and everything, when there are two Jews, there are three different opinions.
Yeah.
So how to decide which one? You say, you go to the rabbi, but which rabbi will be the answer? No. How to do, tell me an example of how did you do it sometime when you are doing it?
The family, thank God, Baruch Hashem, the family is a very close family, and there's a lot of respect in the family. So the older people and the older generation, my father and his uncles, they're the chairman and everything. The next generation who's running the business, if we can't get to a solution internally, we just go to the brothers and my father and the uncles. And if at that point we can't find it, then we go to the rabbi. And the whole family knows, whether I take position A and he takes position B, if we go to the rabbi and the rabbi says A or B, the other will accept it 100%. Not only will accept it, they'll get behind it and they'll push as if it was that was their idea originally.
Do you have partners that they are not Jewish?
We have partners that are not Jewish as well.
Yes. How do you explain them these decisions?
That's a good question. I'll tell you. At the very beginning of relationships, sometimes, even with our own lenders, right? You do things that to a non-Jewish person they don't necessarily understand. Like covering glass at the water park to a non-Jewish person who doesn't understand what snoot is would seem to be one of the most ridiculous things in the entire world.
Yes.
But what happens is, what we found out is that over time they realize that these decisions that you're making, they're not just, that's not to do with a religion, even though it is, but for them there's a moral component to it, right? And they see that the family is so morally well grounded that they understand and appreciate that when the family goes to pray, the family does is that they're doing it through the framework of religion, and they buy into it, and they actually appreciate it, and it makes them want to be partners with us more, because they know that we're honest people and that we're never going to do something to hurt a partner.
What is the best advice you could say? You are a young person, you have other family, to somebody that is you know, many want to work with their fathers, others doesn't want to work with their fathers. What did you tell today?
The number one thing that I would tell somebody, whatever decision and direction you decide to go, the number one thing is to make sure that there's peace amongst everybody involved. Peace. If it's a father and a brother, it's two brothers or three brothers, peace is the single most important thing to keep the family together. If they start arguing and that argument leads to machloket and the machloket leads to real anger and separation, that's when things start to go wrong. So as long as you keep a unity together within your family, Hashem should help protect everybody.
You are here at Breaking Ideas from Again David. Many people hear you. What is your goal do you want people to keep about your talk, or when they talk about your talk, they'll say, you know, he said about?
My goal is that people should know, and they hear it from a family and somebody who lives and runs a multi-billion-dollar organization on a daily basis, but that the person is never going to compromise to do anything that goes against what it is Hashem wants. Running a business is not, at the end of the day, a person, when they go to the next world, they don't take their money with them, right? You can't take your money. You only take your name, and you take the mitzvot that you leave behind. I can't take them all with me. I can't take our projects with me. So we want to make sure that everything we do, and my message to everybody would be, please think carefully about any business you do and the decisions you make, and find out how to bring Hashem into as your partner. Because once Hashem is your partner, that's the best partner you have in the entire world. You can go to sleep at night knowing that things may be difficult, but that your partner will take care of it.
Thank you very much. I could ask you many other questions, but you have to go. But we will do many other things with you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.